For decades, the story about cannabis and your brain, it seemed pretty simple, right? But what if that story is wrong? Well, we're about to dive into this absolutely landmark study that might just flip everything we thought we knew about its long-term effects.
So, this is the big one, isn't it? What does cannabis really do to your brain over a whole lifetime? I mean, sure, we all kind of know about the short term stuff, but the long game? That's been a mystery. Well, a massive new study is finally giving us a real clue.
And for years, the story was super simple, almost a given. The common wisdom, and yeah, even a lot of the early science, basically said that long-term, consistent use, well, it's going to lead to cognitive decline. It's going to slow you down.
Right, so let's be clear. This wasn't just pulled out of thin air. This idea came from the real, observable, short-term effects we see on thinking and memory. But the big missing piece of the puzzle has always been good, solid, long-term data. What happens over decades? Well, until now. Okay, so before we get into the weeds here, let's just make sure we're all on the same page. When we talk about cognitive decline, what do we mean? Basically, it's that gradual slowing down of our thinking skills, memory, problem solving, that kind of thing, that just naturally happens as we get older. It's a part of life. The real question has always been, does cannabis speed that process up? And that brings us to the main event, this incredible 44-year study. Seriously, this was a massive project out of Denmark where researchers set out to put this whole assumption to the test once and for all. And look at the scale of this thing. We're talking about 5,162 men. This isn't some small little experiment. When you have a group this big, the findings carry some serious weight. So here's how they did it. They got a baseline, a starting point, by testing these guys' cognitive abilities when they were young, around 20 years old on average. This was actually part of their military conscription tests, which gave the researchers this perfect snapshot to start with. And then they just waited. For decades. They came back all those years later, found the very same men who were now, on average, 64 years old, and tested them again, all to see what had changed over a lifetime. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. An average of 44 years between tests. In the world of science, getting data that spans that much of a person's life is it's incredibly rare. And that's exactly what makes the study so important and so powerful. Okay, so the stage is set. Decades of data, thousands of participants. What did they actually find? Well, this is where the story takes a really sharp, unexpected turn. So here it is, the big question. After all that work, what did the 44-year data actually show? What was the real connection they found? Okay, get ready for this, because it flips the old story completely on its head. The non-users, they showed the expected, totally normal cognitive decline that comes with aging. No surprise there. But the cannabis users, they actually showed less cognitive decline over that same period. Yeah, you heard that right. Less. Of course, the researchers didn't just stop there. They wanted to dig deeper into the data. I mean, did it matter how people used it? Like, what if you started young or used it really frequently? Did that make a difference? And this is maybe even more surprising. When they sliced and diced the data for the cannabis users, things like the age they started or how often they used it, well, neither of those things was linked to greater cognitive decline. The result held up. It was consistent. So what's the big takeaway? What was the official conclusion from the scientists themselves? In science, the exact wording is everything. So let's look at what they actually said. And here it is, straight from the published paper. Quote, in a sample of more than 5,000 men followed for a mean of 44 years, we found no significant harmful effects of cannabis use on age-related cognitive decline. So to put it simply, after this monster 44-year study, they found no evidence in their data that cannabis use made people's brains age any faster. So, what does this all mean? Does this one study just rewrite the whole book on cannabis? Well, probably not. It's just one study. And an important one for sure, but it's not the final word. We have to remember it was a study of men and it's showing a correlation, not necessarily causation. But what it absolutely does is open a brand new, fascinating chapter. It forces us to ask all these new questions. Is it possible some compounds in cannabis could actually be neuroprotective? What other lifestyle factors could be mixed in here? This study doesn't close the book, but man, it definitely makes you want to start reading it all over again from a totally new perspective.